Hi, friends. Good morning. Me, Mr. Deepak Singh from allpoetry.com. As you have almost come across the writings over there, or maybe enjoying the writings over there, but sometimes it is very much necessary to elaborate it of the terms what are being mentioned over there. So, just I'm trying to make it out some of the facts to be clear that what has or what are being written over there. Some of the poetries are totally based on the terms of neuroscience. Generally, this is the subject. Generally, poets or poetry are not too much or too often have been mentioned so far. I do think, as per my aspects of knowledge, but it is too much, very much. It is very much important indeed that to be uh, to be accustomed of the fact, or the writing has to be also be garnered on that aspects also. Though the poets, writers, and authors generally are totally aware of the outward term or the overt term of the environment and the nature's beauty and all those things, but indeed there are lots of beauty even in our uh, brain, or it could be has to be inculcated of the fact in the mind, which is the genesis, or which is the way the thesis has to be discourse it out, and all those things has to be made it out to be in clearance. Each and every fact right from the beginning, whatever the knowledge we have so far gained on, or whatever knowledge we are proceeding on further in the future, are all through the evolution of the mind. So it is very much important that we must give emphasis to be known of the subject of mind and the brain and the way to act. And even on that fact, though I have found my writings, so I have also compared my writings with the authors, and all the authors generally write on their aspects of the issues of environment or the nature. But I have chosen this one has to be too much on particular basis of the weight wear and the mind, so that the COVID factor is too much also important to maintain the log, what were to be said, that the personal perception log and the cognitive log has a bias to maintain on. The alignment has to be maintained on in such a way that the apparatus or the alignment or the lines of force of consciousness has to come in soothing effect. The functioning of these two aspects, that is of the personal perception log of the environment of the nurture, and the cognition log that has already binded on, or the neurons is already developed on in the core to bring on the hologram of the mind. So there are too many of the writings in the terms of poetries, in the essence of poetry, in the sense in the terms of rhymes, has to be maintained on. But since these writings are completely in the terms of mosaic, what could be said with the mosaic type of writings, type of writing that has been assembled in such a way that has to be understood to be in a poetic form, though, but these are the intricacies of modulus terms. These are the proficient form of modulus term of the real entity. That is, means it is in the form of rationality of rationality of negative and positive form. What could be better has to be demonstrated of the fact that on the aspects of the perspectives of the aptitude, what anyone who is on the term of reading this poetry, whether if the pursuit is in the form of a negative sense, then he may or she may imbibed in the form of negative terms. If it is in positive sense, then automatically it will come in the positive sense. So it is a modulus term indeed. Some of the poetry which I could also mention over here, that is the last poetry which I have all written here. The bending of light and the bending of neurotransmitter equal to the mind equation. The topic of the poetry is the bending of light. Now, why I have written bending of light is as it is a cosmic phenomena, as we all know, the cosmos phenomena, that how we have come across about the bending of light. The light which we have already known earlier, that it is a rectilinear term, that light is straight and propagates in a straight line. But indeed, it has been found that there is a bending of light due to the gravitation, due to the general relativity term, the fabric of the general relativity acting on the universe, that enables the light to bend, and it has been proved by scientists, early scientists already. So the writing has been inculcated through that aspect, that how the lights are getting bending or bended by the terms of gravity, in the terms also in the same way the neurotransmitter between the synaptic gaps, between the clefts which in the neurons which we have, even the body, or even the way the neurotransmitter transmit its transmission or the propagates its way to the one end, to what terminals of the synaptic clefts propagates their way from one end to the another end, and bring on the aspects to the mind. So this is the topic about the bending of light, bending of the neurotransmitter, that equates to the mind equation. So I think, friends, that you may like it even if I go on to the poetry too much of that, to bring out some of the way that how the mosaic type of writing has to be maintained in the form of poetry, to bring emphasis to be known on of the cosmos or the universe, as well as to be known of in the boring of your mind, or boring of our mind. So in the first line, as it has to be said, that the ought to be the resultant of the weight where the projects the gravity and cosmos alternates. So it's very nicely has been mentioned that the weight where the brain is continuous in the hierarchical form, or in the resultant of the vectors of all the force that is under action of potential. They're acting under the potential, and there's a lot of vector resultant acting on through the uh, transmission of the force over there. So due to that resultant in the weight where that projects the same thing to the gravity of the cosmos. The same ability of that particular flux, or that particular lines, or that particular line of neurons is projecting to known about the bending of the light of the cosmos so far in the space. And out of that resultant component, the second line is says to be like that due to that resultant component, the arbitraries of the continuity in continuation is absolute. So in this form, in this way, the arbitraries mean the track of knowing, the track of equation, the track of contemplation, the track of understanding of what is so much overt of in the space and what is so much covert in the mind, has to become into the terms, has to become into the form of equation. And then it has been said in the line that trend of mind and the distinction of the neurotransmitter is ascend determinants. So in this way, out of that virtue, out of that alignment, virtue of the covert nature of the cosmos, that is enabling to act with the weightware, that is our brain, to bring on into the determinants, or have in another sense to be said that it is coming in the terms of equation of the mind. That means it is coming into mathematics, it is coming into particular measurable value, it is coming into particular possibility terms of scales. And then the fourth line is very nicely said that the bending of the light to determine the ascent of gravity aggregate commute. So by that way we can aggregate the total feelings of the gravity, right, from that space, and be aware of the fact that we are totally under the customization of the universe with our own awareness log of the mind. So, like this way, the poetry has been made on in the allpoetry.com. So, my friends, you may like it. You go through. There are other form also, and enjoy the writings. in that way. So, what was my main objective here to give us a little prelude detail of the fact about the allpoetry.com after so long time since I have last said you all is that we must be totally aware of the fact of how far we go beyond of the space, or how far you we think beyond of the space time ability or the space time fabric of being knowing of or whatever we are working on with the equations of the physics, and whatever working on we are researching on beyond of the fact, beyond of the fence of knowing to bring on or evaluating on of our contemplation of understanding. In the same manner, in the same way, there is a drill inside our mind too to enable the attention log or the awareness log to give the complete full of knowledge bank or knowledge way of understanding in a very proficient and a very fruitful way. So, in a very just and very short time, I have tried to bring out some of the aspects of my writings and the motto or the methods or the what is the main motives of my writings generally, or what are the main domain by which I'm writing my poetries are. That is about the mind, brain, that is the gateway, and the universe and the cosmos. And these three things are how in very coordinates, in very coordinatal term, they are how they are enacting among themselves. So far I'm pausing myself and trying to make you all go through the poetry and give you the approach of the domain, what is the main way of making contemplation of understanding the poetry in the mosaic form it is. I hope you will be enjoying further the way of writing which I'm making on in allpoetry.com. Thank you very much and have a good day. Thank you.